So now that we're starting recording, we will officially open the meeting. And again, thanks to everyone for participating so far. We've got almost 40 people so far. And I will quickly mention for the recording that we're very pleased to have had the ambassador of the Russian Federation, His Excellency Antonov, attend our Sister Cities International inaugural celebration on Sunday night, which was the first official event of Inauguration Week. So we thank the ambassador again. So I was starting to say that Sharon Tennyson, and I see my friend Mary Palco has tuned in, who's a very busy person, so waves to Mary. I did want to say that Sharon Tennyson has headed up this wonderful organization called the Center for Citizen Initiatives, which is not just about conducting tours to and from, setting up exchanges with the US and Russia, but doing many other kinds of activities of an education and exchange nature for very specific purposes. So we did about an 11 or 12-minute conversation yesterday, which I sent out the link to, and that's really worth looking at, taking a look at that. Sharon does very inspirational work. And I thank Steve Kalishman for suggesting and reminding me of Sharon's work. So hats off to Sharon. And we've got that at least recorded and up on YouTube. So you can look for that on the link. Well, in lieu of Sharon, we do have a surprise speaker. Hopefully not a surprise to himself, but I think he's agreed to say a few words, 3 or 4 minutes, about a program that you may have heard of. Some of you may have worked with, Open World. So let's see, Matthew Tucker. I think maybe you came in. Is Matthew, are you on board? You can unmute.
I'm here, yes, thank you.
All right, hey, thanks for joining us. And if you would tell our group, we've got about 40 people here from across the United States and also from various cities in Russia. What does Open World do?
Sure, well, great, thanks for having me. I don't have a set prepared speech, but it's nice to see a lot of familiar faces that we have worked with in the past. I see several sister cities representatives here that we've worked with in the past and look forward to continuing to work with. Open World is a legislative branch exchange program. So we got some people off mute, I think. Can you hear me? All right, I'll go ahead. So again, we're a legislative branch exchange program, and it's a 10-day short exchange program. We work with countries, most of the former Soviet Union and a few others. And our program is very intimate. We do host family stays, and we hope to be able to continue that sometime post COVID. But in the past year, we've been doing a lot of virtual programs, and one of our main focus areas has been on sister cities, particularly with Russia. So that's why when I learned you guys were having this meeting, I wanted to be a part of it and hear what you all have been up to, and how Open World could be of assistance. And I think if some of you are looking forward or are interested in hosting Open World programs, I'm happy to tell you more about how to do that. And then you have several colleagues here who have done it. So I think you have a lot of resources already to reach out to and talk more nuts and bolts about. But in a traditional setting, we would have every year around summertime a grant guidelines, kind of a call for proposals, where you'd be able to submit a proposal to host a group of 5 individuals on a specific topic. That all has been disrupted by COVID, so we're not sure exactly when the next round of grant guidelines call for proposals will go out. But if there are any specific questions about Open World, I'd be happy to answer.
Yeah, just feel free to unmute and ask Matt any questions. Is that Tatiana? Anyone else waving or?
Hey, Bill, this is Dave Edick in San Diego. Just a quick follow-up on what Tucker had to say. Is so these are grant-funded peer-to-peer exchanges, professional exchange groups. These are funded exchanges. Funds are made available for professional interpretation. In-person visitations, the delegations from Russia come through Washington, D.C., see the city a bit, and then head out to their individual assignment partner cities around the United States. These are outstanding opportunities to spend a week with people. They are homestay. It's the best exchange program that I've been associated with, in part because of the quality, but also because the funding is there to, to make the quality possible. Thank you.
Well, very
Thanks.
good. Well, thank you. I see Pat Fallon waving for a question, and then Susan, I think, after Pat.
I just want to say that for several years straight, the Santa Barbara Sister Cities participated in the Open World program, and I think we got as much out of it as the people on the exchange, and it was well received, not just by the Sister City program, but by everyone who participated from Santa Barbara. My question is there any possibility we could do something virtually, since we don't know how long it's going to be before we can do things in person?
Absolutely, that's a great question. So if you have participated in Open World before, then reach out to us, and I'll drop my email in a bit here in the chat, so you guys can reach out to me, because I've only been with Open World for 4 years. So if I haven't worked with you in the last 4 years, your name's kind of in the system, but I wouldn't really remember much about those individual programs. But we're encouraging right now all of our previous hosts to do follow-up kind of alumni programs with the groups you hosted. So in Santa Barbara, if there was a particular program, or if you want to get together with just the whole kind of cohort of alumni who traveled to your city, we can certainly help you organize something like that. And it's really actually easy to do in this virtual world, because we're able to get with you and kind of talk you through it, and we can provide the platform, and we can also provide a simultaneous interpreter. And you can speak with, I see Deborah here from I'm forgetting, Linkages, is it Linkages? So in Rochester, New York. So we've done one with her this year and some others. So we're looking forward to do some more. And if like I said, if there's a specific group that you want to reconnect with, or just want to revive that relationship, let us know, and we'll help you do it. We have a lot of partners on the Russian side too, that if for some of the sister city connections that aren't as strong as the other ones, one of the things we're trying to do is to help reinvigorate those relationships. So and that's where really I think the biggest added value of Open World is that a lot of these, as David said, a lot of these relationships don't have any kind of funding other than what you're going to put in it yourself. So Open World can fund delegation to travel from Russia to your city and really reinvigorate that partnership. And then a lot of times that will stir the community there to then make a reciprocal visit back to the Russian side. And we can't participate on that side of funding, but we definitely can bring groups to your city from Russia.
Thank you. We did ours through La Crosse, Wisconsin, which that organization that we worked with is now disbanded. So
right.
We'd have to come straight to you.
Right. So that's a great point. Actually, World Services was a great national grantee organization of ours. And when they folded, which was right after I started, I think I started in 2016, I think they in 2017 folded, but a lot of sister city connections we lost because of that, actually. And some of the organizations have come in directly to us, as you just mentioned, which is what Linkages in Rochester does. So I'm sure Deborah and her community could walk you through that process, and I can help you as well. But another option is to go through another national grantee, which sometimes can be easier because they'll do all that paperwork for you that World Services was doing, instead of you having to do it yourself. So that's an option that I could discuss more with you offline.
And
you.
Matt, I'll turn to Susan, but before we do, if you would, why don't you just give your email address? You can say it verbally, but then enter it in the chat so that people can contact you. So what do you?
I'm gonna type it in right now. It's really easy. It's MATU at, let me find the at button here. matu@openworld.gov.
MATU@openworld.gov. All right, and it'll be in the chat, and I'll send that to
There you go.
everybody. And Susan, one more question
Yes.
from Susan.
Well, it was similar, Pat, to yours. I wanted to ask, follow up on what Matt said about continuing the relationship with Open World and with our sister city virtually in these times. But Matt, it's really, I'm so happy to see you. I'm from Stevens Point, Wisconsin, and our sister city is Rostov-Veliki. And actually, we had 4 Open World visits on an environmental theme starting in 2008, 10, 2012, and 2015. We had gotten another grant for 2018, but you might remember that actually the mayor of Rostov, on advice from the governor, canceled that visit. It was a time of increasing tensions. And even, and interesting, the mayor, Andre Los, was a member of a delegation, an Open World delegation. And in spite of that, it was canceled. So we have been searching for ways to reinvigorate and get back together. And I think that having a list of contacts of some of the delegates, that we could maybe start a Zoom group or something. I don't know. I really would love to talk to you more. And
Yeah, let's go ahead,
the people made many contacts here. We have a very well-known College of Natural Resources at the University of Wisconsin here in Stevens Point, and that's why we devised this environmental theme, and it worked beautifully. We had so many productive meetings and friendships formed, and I can't say enough about the experience, Matt. So thank you so much for your work through Open World with Sister Cities International. It's a great combination.
Great. Thank you, Susan. It's nice to put a face to your name and to the
Yeah.
city as well, because I was wondering when you started speaking, what sister city it was. And when you said Stevens Point, Wisconsin, it really reminded me of that conversation we had in 2018, and we're putting that program together. So yeah, would love to put together a virtual program for you in the community there. So send me a message offline if you don't mind, and
I will.
I'll talk with I have my colleague here with me as well, Alexandra Hilkov, and we will revisit some of those contacts and try to put something together.
Thank you.
Very good. I see Steve Kalishman, my good friend. Comment, Steve.
Thanks, Bill. Well, in Gainesville, Florida, we've hosted 23 Open World groups, starting in 1999 when it was called the Russian Leadership Program. And I highly recommend that all sister cities apply for these, because not only do you have a fantastic opportunity to promote your sister city program when you have these types of guests in town, but there's also significant amount of funding that you can obtain for your local program, which is called like an administration fee, like $5,000. So it's great for that. Now, one of the groups that we hosted was done through Sister Cities International. I guess at that time they had decided to become a national grantee, and I would like to suggest that they consider doing that again, because it would allow a lot of the programs to apply directly with Sister Cities International. Also, I wanted to ask Matt to speak about the possibility of being able to nominate delegates from your sister city to come on these groups, which then would actually be even more beneficial because you would have your own sister city people there.
Right. Thanks, Steve. So that's a good point. It's a good question, a good point. There is an opportunity on a limited basis to nominate delegations from your contacts in your sister city. Now, so a traditional delegation has 5 people in it. We would take ideally at least 7 to 10 nominations, and then even if you nominate 5 or 10 of those, they would still go through a vetting committee, which kind of looks at all the applications and chooses the top 5 and then 2 alternates. So I can't make any guarantees that who you nominate would be selected, But if you do have strong relations and nominating partners in your sister city, you definitely can nominate candidates. So,
And I believe
and
one of the
several of you have
criteria,
done that.
one of the criteria is they haven't been to the US before.
Right. So ideally, they should never have been to the U.S. before. Ideally, under 40. But the travel to the U.S. is more of kind of a recommendation. The only immediate disqualifier would be if they've already participated in another USG alumni program or exchange program. Sorry. So if they participate on one of the State Department programs or on our program before, then they wouldn't be eligible.
Well, very
Does somebody
good.
else want to make a comment?
Well, let me also thank you very much, Matt, for that very informative comments. And again, hopefully more people will connect with you and revive the relationship they've had. Let me acknowledge Carol Robertson Lopez, chair of our board, who's joined us, and I'll be asking her to speak a little bit more shortly on our agenda. So welcome, Carol. So.
Thank you. And I just want to say hi, Matt. Open World has done just such amazing work, not only in Russia, but all the post-Soviet countries, such as Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, etc. So thank you.
Well, very good. Well, I did want to make some further comments about the remarks made back on October the 13th by the Russian ambassador. And those were just very revealing in terms of his knowledge of the many activities between different sectors of the US and Russia. And again, acknowledging his participation in the Sister Cities International inaugural celebration. One of the things he brought up was, and in reading through his remarks again, he's quite open to helping us in any way possible, whether it's cultural groups or entertainers or whatever it may be. And I have found him to be quite open to helping us out in any way, to be a liaison, the embassy there, with resources in Russia. And one of the things he did mention, I think the major thing I want to bring back to our attention is his suggestion to identify some 20 of US states with regions in Russia. So if you have some thoughts on that, email me or put them in the chat, and we'll try to identify a couple of states that we can proceed with. I think that's a very good initiative. Any comments about that? Okay. Well, let's go on to the next item on the agenda. Again, another review item, which was the very good speech of Alexandra Ignatieva of the Union of Russian Cities. And Ivan is on with us now, who is in charge of the international relations for the URC, a very good partner. And she just gave a tremendous speech. She spoke in Russian. We had it translated, and I think I had also sent it out. But just many suggestions for mutual activities between municipalities, best practices, addressing quite a number of different spheres, education being one of them. But I did want to mention two things that she brought up, which I think this group needs to address. One is looking ahead to a summit that we would have later in the year, a repeat of the one that we had I guess it was October of 19. So obviously we're inhibited here by this whole COVID situation, but depending on how things go for the next 2 or 3 months, we could maybe look forward to the time later in the year to renew that summit. And at this point, I would like to, I think, Ivan, I think the URC is ready to receive us again if we set a date out there. I see him shaking his head. But in the spirit of reciprocity, perhaps we could work it, the other way. So I think it's just a matter of seeing how things break, if this is calming down over the next 2 or 3 months. But I would say a late, a late fall kind of meeting, maybe again in October or November. But I did want to acknowledge, her bringing that to our attention. Any comments from anyone on that, including Ivan? Is anything you wanted to say about that, of having another summit? Anything anyone wants to say? Otherwise, we'll just,
Bill?
Carol, go ahead.
Yes, I have a question. Are you proposing that this summit would be held in Russia or in the United States?
Well, I prefer the US myself. It's to be decided. I think they're ready to have it again in Russia. Frankly, one of the things to always keep in mind is what is a very slow visa process from our Department of State. So that requires a real lead time. But so it would be good for us to reciprocate. Ivan, did you want to say anything?
I can say that we are ready to invite and to host this forum again, this or next year.
Right. Well, very good. Well, thank you. Yeah. Well, so we'll keep that in mind. Let's see how things go on the COVID front. However, the other specific initiative, which she mentioned, was a forum or a gathering summit of young leaders. And let me say this, I'll read right from her remarks. And this is something for us to really think about. Maybe we could coincide it with.
Applicant.
Yes, who's that? Welcome. All right. So quoting from Alexandra, we have a proposal for our colleagues from sister cities to organize a visit of young municipal leaders to Russia to exchange experience. We are seeing a new trend in Russia. Young people under 35 are becoming mayors of cities, and their entire team consists of the same ambitious young leaders. We believe that if our partners gather such a delegation from US cities working in the city administration, we are ready to meet them, assume all the costs, and organize such a seminar visit to exchange an experience in Russia. So I wanted to bring that back to our attention in case any of us had missed that proposal in her remarks at the last meeting. I think that's highly significant that she would make that offer. And again, Ivan, would you have anything to add to it? If not, we'll take up our reactions. Anything from Ivan? Ivan, go ahead.
Yes, you said everything about this initiative, and we are ready to accept young people under 35 years in Russia. I think it can be the group about 15 people, 15 persons,
Okay.
maybe 20. We can discuss it.
Okay, very good. Well, does anyone have any comments? Because I'm going to be asking for, a small group of 2 or 3 to work with us on this initiative. I think this is innovative and quite interesting, really. Any comments from anyone or any volunteers at this point? Carol. Any comments from anyone or any
Yes.
volunteers at this point? Carol.
Yes, we are now following our inaugural. We're looking at events.
Now, following our inaugural, we're looking at events for the coming year.
Well, let's make sure we're all on mute, except for the speaker. Well, let's make sure we're all on mute, except for the speaker.
All right, can you hear me now? So I really think that this should be something that we should present to the board as one of our priorities this year, being able to offer an opportunity for young elected officials to be able to go on an exchange with Russia would be an extraordinary activity. Because in the United States as well, Ivan, we're seeing many more young people entering municipal government. And I think by providing an opportunity, of course, they'd have to pay their airfare, but I think many of them might be able to get support from their cities to do so. I just think this would be a wonderful thing for us to accomplish this year. Towards the end of the year, I would think. I think by then there will be enough vaccinations in Russia and the US to have it be a fairly safe experience. I think it'd be great.
In the interest of time, with these other subjects we have to cover, Mary Palco, go ahead.
Bill, because of what you were just getting ready to say, I was going to encourage everyone who thinks they'd like to respond or contribute or be on your small group, anything you've suggested, just put it in the chat box. It's going to be available after. And there's a great dialogues going, but it's the best way to capture everyone's ideas quickly and to keep going. That's it. Thanks.
You took the words out of my mouth, so that's good. Good. All right. Unless there's a crucial comment, let's go on to the next. Anything that's very crucial here to talk about? No? All right. Well, let's go on to another thing, which Carol and I have talked about, and this is on the agenda. We had talked about the concept of a Great Rivers Conference, which would probably be, let's say, next year. That would require a lot of planning, probably with people who are not cities that are not active with sister cities or not involved with Russia either. But why don't I ask Carol to talk about something which I have mentioned when I've been in Russia and at Volgograd in particular, that we have in mind about celebrating and really making something quite meaty about the Great Mississippi and the Great Volga River. And after Carol speaks, I would ask Maria if she might speak as well, briefly. Carol.
Yes, this has been an idea that actually Bill Boerum, is our historian, Bill reads so much about history. It's truly amazing. If you ever have any questions, just call Bill Boerum. He can probably answer it. But he has been looking at the unique geographic features that Russia and the United States both possess. And that's where Bill came up with the idea, why not look at the Mississippi River and what that meant to the development of our country with the Volga, the river, in terms of what that has meant, that it could be a focal point to have some good discussions. And so I thought it was a good idea. Pat Fallon has recently organized a subgroup of mountainous communities, sister city communities around the world. And it's sometimes these geographic features that really do determine our history. So Bill, back to you. Thank you.
Very, very good. Maria, did you want to say something about this?
Are you talking to me now?
Yes.
Okay, yes, I'm actually authorized even to talk a little bit today about our Volgograd suggestion for the Great River Project. While you're surely aiming big for ecology and industrial development, we would like to suggest starting with something a little bit smaller. That is to say, the tourism perspectives, because rivers are usually great places for tourist attractions. They have natural reserves, they have natural parks and beaches, more importantly. So one of our suggestions is to make something like a round table dedicated on the perspectives of both external, international, and internal within the country tourism that is brought to our cities thanks to the great rivers that our cities stand upon. And especially during the COVID time, well, maybe we're not traveling internationally, but are still traveling probably within the country. This would be a relevant idea.
Well, that's a very good idea. In fact, we could perhaps schedule a presentation on the tourism aspect of the Volga. I know there's a lot about the Mississippi. We can work that out, but I think it's a very good suggestion to start small, if you will, and something that can have an impact, which tourism can. So we could maybe in March or April be ready, have you give a have the relevant parties from Volgograd give a presentation, including comment by the organization of the regionals, the cities there too.
So we are planning to follow up with this suggestion with an official letter for the mayor of Volgograd to Sister Cities International.
Very good. Again, I think, why don't we say that if you're interested in participating, I think someone from St. Louis is in this group. Is that correct? If they wanted to pipe up, or we'll, oh, yeah, Stella?
Yes, yes, indeed. Hello, Bill. Thank you. Yes.
Obviously, if it pertains to the Mississippi, we would be interested. We do have a sister city, and with Samara actually, and so our president is not on the call at the moment, but I can certainly pass that information along to him.
Well, very good. Excellent. That's good. Well, we'll nominate you to join the steering committee. So thank you very much.
Hey, Bill.
Yeah.
This is Tim Quigley from San Jose. You know, thinking of the Volga and the Mississippi water, one other unique partnership with Russia and the United States is Lake Baikal with Lake Tahoe. Would there be any thought of just, you know, having it themed somewhat around large water connections or something like that?
Well, let's keep that on the table, Tim. Good suggestion. Very good. Yeah, no,
I'm thinking from a climate change, there could be a lot of dialogue that could come.
Sure. Well, let's keep that on the table. Good suggestion. All right. So again, if you have interest, put it in the chat and we'll follow up with you. Let's see. We've got next item is the update on the university's project. Speaking of it very simply, we've got a meeting scheduled for Thursday, and I've got a list of people who have expressed interest. And what the concept was, it was advanced to us initially from the embassy, but on behalf of the Moscow State University, where the head of the Russian Rectors Union, the Russian, got someone calling in here, the Russian Association of University Presidents, in effect. And we've had comments on this twice, a presentation, and then brief remarks the last time. But we've got our follow-up meeting coming this Thursday. Sorry to have 2 meetings in the week, but I do have a list running on that. If you want to participate in that, again, put it into the chat and I'll capture that. So at 9 o'clock on Thursday, 2 weeks from right now, we're going to have our follow-up meeting. And Steve Kalishman made the very good suggestion that we have a steering committee, which is starting to form up with David Thomas in particular, who's on this call. And so we'll get that organized from amongst those participants, volunteers, and then we'll also get into a draft MOU. It was of interest to our friends at Moscow State University in behalf of the Russian Rectors Union that we have an MOU between Sister Cities International and the Russian Rectors Union. So that's we'll talk about that as well as identifying some initial target universities. And do I see Susan waving her hand? Susan, did you want to be on? You can unmute.
Is there another Susan?
No, I don't think so. Oh, well, you had your hand up. Okay, I thought you had your hand up.
I'm sorry, I was putting into chat that I was interested in Mississippi Volga initiative.
Okay. Well, yeah. Oh, I see what it was. Well, I see Dave Thomas. He's our ringleader.
Thanks, Bill. You mentioned the 9 o'clock meeting time. That's Pacific time for those of you that are
I'm
not.
sorry. Yes, I'm glad you corrected me. It is as noon. We're trying to reference everything Eastern. Noon Eastern.
So far, we've put together a list of different organizations in the United States that presidents might be associated with. And then Yuri and Igor put together a list of objectives and goals. So on Thursday, we're going to work from those documents moving forward.
Excellent. All right. Very good. Thanks for the time correction there. All right. So I think we've covered all of the updating on our agenda. And are there any comments by participants, suggestions, or updates of activities that you have going? I think there's at least one partnership that's going to be celebrating the 30th anniversary of their partnership this year. And I forget who that was, but someone told me that. If you're on the call, was that Tracy? Was that you? No? Go ahead. Unmute.
Yes, we are celebrating Coronish.
Yes, we are celebrating Coronish.
When are you going to stage any
Also,
celebration,
Rochester,
even
New
if it's
York.
virtual?
Wow.
I didn't hear that it's delayed. Somebody's, I think, still
Okay.
speaking.
When were you planning to recognize the anniversary?
Well, we haven't gotten that far yet. So we have a meeting actually this evening for the Relationship Development Committee, which Diane St. John, she's on this call, she's chairing. So I think we're going to be discussing that as part of that committee group.
Well, very good. Well, please keep us informed.
Diane?
I see Diane. Did you want to say something, Diane?
Yes, I'd like to make a question. So probably like other cities in the US having trouble connecting with their sister city in Russia, we had like a 12-year gap kind of when there wasn't a lot going on. And we've been trying to reconnect through our chief of protocol, Alexis Gordon, but she's not getting any feedback, and this must be common. Do you have what advice or resources are there to help us figure out how to reestablish that relationship?
Right.
And I'll just add, this is Alexis, I'll just add really quick that the city of Charlotte, I work for the city of Charlotte, and our IT department said it's the city of Voronezh that is blocking my emails. So there's not much, I mean, I don't know if anyone else is having that problem. I'm getting their emails just fine, but my counterpart gets none of my replies. So it's just a problem. I don't know how we would solve that, but I don't know if other people have that issue.
Well, we might turn to our friend Ivan for these kinds of things. I mean, they are our official partner there, and they have many connections, almost 100 cities, I think, that are members, and they may be able to assist. That would be the first thing. But turning back to what Diane said, just have us be aware of it, and we'll help you out. It's, you know, the same could probably be said for the US side. I know of some Russian cities that haven't been getting any response or interest out of US cities. So bring us into the act. And I see Mary Palco, I'm sure has a suggestion.
Just a quick comment. Sometimes it's as easy as your email address. I deal with this internationally. I have a .me address, and it gets kicked out all the time, and I have to switch to my Apple ID, and it goes in just fine. So sometimes it's something as simple as the actual email address. Try that.
Great suggestion, Mary. Great suggestion.
Hey, Bill.
Very good. Yeah.
Dave Edick here. If Alexis, if you are trying to revive a long dormant relationship, you might want to send a physical letter, snail mail, I really, you're going to get some sort of response, more likely. Take a shot at that.
Very good.
Yeah, well, we have that on the list of things to try. It was more just that we do know that they're physically blocking the email address, because I did, just for those of you who have that problem going the other way with your Russian sister city having a hard time reaching your city government through email, your mayor's office, et cetera, because that's who I'm in economic development, but not the mayor.
Welcome to the NFL of international relations.
Yeah,
these are really complicated times.
Yeah, what I had to do, and I continue to do, is anytime I know of a new email address, I, as the city employee, have to send that address to our IT security as a known sender, and then they have to add it to let it through, because I actually got, about 4 years ago, into a very large argument with our security guys. They wanted to block anything from all IP addresses coming from China and Russia. So that does happen within city governments. So make sure that you're having the conversation also at the IT security level, so that they know that you're expecting exchanges with your official partners, because that was something that the manager's office at the time, I mean, I was lucky I had a close relationship with them, and they called me right away during a meeting that was something they were looking at. So just on both sides, make sure with your city government in the US that they aren't having the same problem we had here with that.
Very good. I see a couple of hands up here on the screen, the little icon. I think Susan was first and then Matt.
Tracy, what city are you from? We also are celebrating 30 years. We were, our sister city relationship was started in 1990. And as far as a celebration, we've joined with our two other sister city programs in the city of Stevens Point, and we've worked for 5 years to develop beautiful gardens that we've called the Cultural Commons. And each section represents our particular sister city and the relationship. So in these times of when it's been harder to reach out to our sister city, we've been working on making ourselves known and establishing even more presence within our own city. And I think that's going to be very useful down the road. But I'm curious, what is your city, Tracy, that's celebrating 30?
It's Charlotte and Voronezh. So Charlotte, North Carolina, and Voronezh, Russia.
Very good. Hey, thanks, Susan.
Okay.
And Matt.
I was going to also ask Diane what city she was referencing as trouble getting in touch with.
It's the same.
It's Charlotte. Yeah, we're working together.
Okay, Charlotte.
Alexis,
so you guys together. Sorry.
Yeah, Alexis, Diane, and I are all working together.
Well, for any, just to mention, if there are anyone else who has difficulty getting, and the one thing that I can try to do to help as well is, if we have Open World alumni from that city, I can kind of just peruse the list and see who we know in that city, and because we have a lot of local legislators and people who have ties to the local governments, we can reach out to someone that way, and we've been successful in reviving some sister cities that way, as recently as just this last year with Tulsa and Zelenograd, which is right outside Moscow.
Thank you.
Okay, we've got a few minutes left. Any other comments or questions from anyone? You can put up the little hand and wave or whatever. Anything? No?
I have something. I just want to say I thought it was extraordinary and a good sign for 2021 that the ambassador from Russia to the United States was on our honorary host committee. And I know Bill Boerum worked really hard to get the ambassador to do this. So I want to publicly thank you, Bill, for doing that, because I think it really does mean that in 2021 that we're going to be able to do some very exciting things with Russia. So thanks, Bill. That was huge for sister cities.
Well, thank you very much, Carol. Great. Well, okay. I think we can wind up, and I would like to suggest that we meet again in 3 weeks That is February the 9th. We'll make the second Tuesday of the month. Second Tuesday of the month, which next month is February the 9th at noon Eastern US for our next session. And certainly in the meantime, you can send me directly any suggestions for an agenda or any agenda item or anything you'd like to hear or talk about. So thank you all very much for your participation. This is some exciting developments here that we've got going. All right. So long, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, great
Bye.
meeting. Bye,
Thanks.
everybody. Bye, Steve.
Bye-bye.
That's
Thank
the
you very
done.
much.